Hello, my name is Mordred Viking, and I'd like to welcome you to episode 4 of this Let's Play. Hearts of Iron 4, this is the Anti-Colonialist Crusade. We are currently intervening in the Spanish Civil War, though our army is currently on holiday in the Costa del Sol, because Republican Spain has sucked. We have basically won this war. We did unfortunately lose half of the expeditionary force that we sent out, so we basically said enough's enough, we're going on holiday. They should have more than enough troops to win. I'm stunned that they haven't done so already. Yeah, and it looks like they're just making another attack through here in Murcia. So hopefully you're sending some troops to go and deal with that instead of, garrisoning your border with Britain and Gibraltar. Just finish the bloody war. Jeez. In the meantime, we are training more troops down here in actual South Africa in the Cape Commune. We have 5, that's more than 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 units of highly trained troops here. Oh. No, that is 7. Why is that only showing us 5? Oh, it's because these two as well. Right, now I understand. And then 2 who are currently being trained because they are the newest additions to our army. In the meantime, we are building up our oil refineries. We've built 2. We are currently in construction of the last one, and then we can switch basically full-time to the military factories, which we can now establish. We have got motorized. Thank you very much, Commonwealth, for giving us that cheaper. Is there anything else that we can get? Radar would be slightly cheaper. Strategic destruction would be slightly cheaper. Hurricanes. Convoys, multiple ship types. Some of the artillery, I wouldn't mind getting into war artillery. Heavy tanks, really, you're going for heavy tanks, interesting. What I really want is that one, although it is actually ahead of time. Oh, we're getting these even though they're a year. Oh, crap. That was a mistake then. Oh well. I mean, we already have quite a few research slots. How many do we have nowadays? 4. I think I'm going to go for the interwar artillery. It's only 20% boast, but that's fine. We do kind of need to keep an eye on European politics right now, because we want to split from the Allies before Britain actually gets involved in any wars. We just need to make sure we time it right so we get the maximum benefit out of the technology. Basically, we're completely abusing the Commonwealth right now. Like, we are fully self-aware, we are able to split away at any time. We are now a free state, so we are no longer a puppet. We just need to split, and we need to time it correctly. Because I can just go over to Britain and go, oi, no more. Leave faction. It's now available! I think you can do that even when you're at war, but I'm slightly reluctant to do that. The Fourth International, a number of communist delegates from around the world, met in Paris today for a founding conference, laying the groundwork for what is known as the Fourth International. Calls for its formation have existed for years, with supporters of Trotsky's theories taking the lead. Stalin has responded to the growing support of Trotskyism abroad by ordering additional assassinations and increasing propaganda against his old rival. With the past purges of suspected Trotskyists in the high ranks of the Soviet military and leadership in recent memory, this is unlikely to be met with any resistance. Actually, thinking about it, could we subvert France and make them communist? Although France has large colonies here, but we could get a non-aggression pact with the French and then declare war on them once we have the border. That would split them away from the UK and give the Soviets another ally. And it could potentially mean that Germany is forced to fight France and the Soviets early on. No, I don't think I want to do that. I don't want France being allied with the Soviets. I don't want to be at war with the Soviets until we absolutely have to. The Munich Agreement. German demands for Sudeten territory in Czechoslovakia, which is home to a considerable German minority, have intensified. At a summit held in Munich, Germany, Britain, France and Italy sought to find a diplomatic solution to the so-called Sudeten crisis. Czechoslovakia was not invited to attend. An agreement was reached in which Germany annexes the Sudetenland, but will not pursue any further territorial gains. Mr. Chamberlain spoke to crowds in London. For the second time, a Prime Minister has returned from Germany, bringing peace with honour. I believe it is peace for our time. France and Britain announced an alliance, calling upon the bonds forged during the Great War. France has requested a formal alliance with Britain, citing unspecified threats against the stability of Europe. Today, their request was approved by the British Parliament, and France has joined the Allies. They are preparing for the worst, despite the peace in our time, I guess. Kind of looks like these guys are pushing out. There are a lot of German troops here. An awful lot of German troops. Yeah, they are definitely pushing back. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Hello. Right, we need to cancel you two, so we keep some of this manpower, otherwise we're down to way too little. And we need to go to you, we need to go put you in here, we need to grab you two and put you in here to stop you burning up my resources. In the meantime, we have got 200 towed artillery, so we could edit this and add potentially artillery unit. This would cost 200 artillery pieces. This would have a combat width of 15. Not yet. So could we add any support stuff? Yes, we could, but that would cost support equipment. We just don't have the industrial capacity to deal with this. We're getting a lot of guns, so I think I might actually switch out. As soon as I remember how you do it. One of you. You know what? We're going to start getting some support equipment. Except that this costs aluminium. Son of a bitch. Which we will then have to buy in. Alright, we'll go artillery. All-out artillery. Cancel that line. Lewis Mark III DMs and SPML 2-inch mortar. Excellent. So that means those guys hit harder. Better infantry. I would very much like to get field hospitals so that we're not using up so much manpower. And for that we will need to start producing some motorized. And in fact, we probably want to do that. The War Measures Act. We cannot allow any disruption to the war effort, so we are passing new legislation to enforce total compliance with government aims. This will protect the flow of resources and allow us to focus political energy where it is needed. Let's get emergency workers, which increases the construction speed of factories and infrastructure. And after that, probably Cape Garrison. That's the one I really want. Modify history of segregation by recruitable population factor of 15. So it goes down from, what is it, 55? Yeah, 55 down to 30. 15% more recruitable population. And having that in Africa, which is already highly populous, would be really quite strong. In the meantime, we want to continue adding more stuff. That would be land doctrine research time. Are we ready to start doing doctrines? No. Small arms research, artillery research, motorization research. I don't think we really need motorization. That would be what? Motorized and mechanized. There's just not that many technologies for it. Yeah, motorized is that line, so it's 4 technologies. Weapons and equipment would be all of this. And then, what was the third one? I forget. Third one under materials was artillery. So artillery would be this central line. I mean, there's a fair amount, and we do want decent artillery, but there's just so many more small arms. So we're going to increase the research speed of small arms, I think. Cool. And actually, once we have a large stockpile of guns and we start liberating some of the other African states, we can actually start feeding them guns and letting them produce their own armies, if we don't annex them outright. Yep, the fascists are definitely fighting back here. The Republicans did not strike when they should have. They could have finished them off easy. They didn't. Gave Germany time to send in some new support. Mistake! Okay, we are now fully on construction of military factories. We have the 3 oil refineries, which are generating us a very reasonable 18 oil and 7 rubber. Increased because we do have excavation 2, 1 and 2. Which is lovely. Interwar artillery. Cool. 50% research bonus on the quarter pounder. On the 2 pounder even. Or AA. AA has been changed, so the way that anti-aircraft guns now function is they basically reduce enemy air superiority. So anywhere where you cannot get fighter cover, start adding anti-air to your units and they will have less air superiority penalties imposed upon them. They still don't really shoot enemy planes down, but they have more of an effect now. I think I still want to go for the anti-tank though. I mean, it would be a support company, probably. Alternative would be maintenance companies, because apparently attrition has a really bad impact. And this reduces the attrition damage, I thought. Let me check this. Yeah, it just increases reliability of all units. And we don't have much industry, so having maintenance companies, even in like regular units, would be quite strong. The other one would be to start researching Matildas, so we have a faster tank unit. I mean, we're producing our own oil, so having tanks is not unreasonable. Having lots of armor divisions rather than lots of infantry divisions. But armor takes time to build. See, these are the kind of choices you have to weigh up when you're a small power. That is a very cheap one. It'll take 55 days. Can we use that better on anything else? My gut feeling is no. Except potentially the Hurricane. You know what? We're going to start researching Hurricanes. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Meanwhile, what's going on over here? Concentrated Industry 3. Excellent. That means that we can now assign some more factories to be built. Down here. We have now got 9 factories queued up, and we can also get another technology, which will be kind of like tactical bombers, kind of like tanks. You know what? We are going to go for the Matilda. And because we have the ISCAR thing, they have more reliability and more soft attack. We want units that can move quickly, lots of land to cover. And where we have tanks and the enemy does not, will be really, really good for us. Advanced machine tools. So that's even more production efficiency. Marvelous. That's fine. Do we want to invest in the... You know what? We might as well while it's cheap. How's this going? It's getting there. How are we doing on artillery production? We have 420, so we could now... In fact, we need to add you to that army. And we can now add the artillery to the template. Like so. We'll be left with minus 44 in storage, but that is entirely reasonable. Now we need to select you again, because you're about to lose a bunch of experience. Yeah, there you go. Train up, just so you get that back up into position. Emergency workers. Marvellous. It is time to mobilise more of South African population for the war effort. Women can be brought into the factories at a lower cost as well. This will give us the political power, gains national spirit, black volunteers, which grants 1% more recruitable population. And then we could start hiring new units again. Heavy engineering is 50% research time. Don't need seaward defences. This is air power, that's sea power. You know what? I'm kind of tempted to go to the special service battalions. We may also want this so that we can grab the anti-colonialist crusade and actually start our own faction. Yeah, it's already December 38. I think that is what we're going to do. Plus, we can now modify the government once more. So we could add a land doctrine theorist, or we could start some air power theory, which I think we were saying was going to be the medium air company. So we get heavy fighters and tactical bombers. Longer range. We're going to be fighting in larger regions. I'm not quite ready for the commanders yet. Or the alternative is this guy. Gives us army experience daily and land doctrine research time. I think I'm going to go for this one first. We need to start working on doctrines. No, we're going to get him. So we also need to start thinking about doctrines. That's another big decision. So we could stick with the Grand Battle Plan. Grand Battle Plan gives you really good planning, but I think that we're going to need to be a little bit more reactionary in how we do things. We can't kind of sit behind a line and push. We just need to keep on pushing and keep on pushing, which would actually tend more towards mobile warfare doctrine. Tanks and armor variants have more push through. Planning speed is quicker. Infantry and motorized get more organization, max speed. Oh yeah, max speed would be nice. And then we can go mobile infantry, which would be motorized as opposed to tanks. This would require less production. I'm very tempted to go mobile infantry and then probably down this line, unless we need the 3% recruitable population. But if we're kind of relying on those, then things are going very badly indeed. The alternative, of course, is the mass assault. We basically rely on large amounts of manpower, because even though South Africa may not have the most people, other African countries do. But then part of the other question is, will we actually be getting those people, or will we be relying on independent states? I kind of suspect it will be the independent states, so yes, we're going to go with Blitzkrieg. Decided. That was easy. Meanwhile, how's the nationalists doing? They're kind of being contained. Neither side is really pushing nearly as much as they should, and they keep on allowing the Republicans to hit behind. I mean, if it was purely a war of attrition, that's a fight the Republicans should not lose. They just kind of need to wait until Germany backs off. Yeah, Germany hasn't taken Czechoslovakia. Once Czechoslovakia is gone, that's probably when we'll start thinking very seriously about independence. And the reason I stopped training new divisions is because I'm worried about manpower, and I want to make sure that we have enough manpower to actually build the factories and stuff that we're trying to get. Speaking of, in fact, what's the next thing going to be? I think it's going to have to be support equipment, and we're going to have to buy in aluminium. There's a QF2 pounder. Okay, let's start working on mobile warfare. We are switching, yes. German Reich claims Memel, with German forces on their border poised to attack Lithuania, has given in to German ultimatum demanding surrender of the old Prussian territory of Memel. It was passed to Lithuania by the Treaty of Versailles, but has now been integrated into the region of Ostpreußen. Have we yet reached the extent of German territorial ambitions in Europe? Experts are doubtful. Nah, everyone's tired of listening to experts. It means nothing. Peace in our time. Absolutely peace in our time. There is no problem here. Nothing to see. Oh, the Reign of Terror, of course. Is that a permanent bonus then? No. 22nd of March 39. Anti-royalist riots in the Cape Commune. A wave of anti-monarchy demonstrations, many of which turned violent, have swept across South Africa. Thousands of protesters took to the streets, storming police stations and other government buildings. Portraits of the king were torn down, slashed, burned, and on one occasion dissolved in acid. The police and military were noted by observers to be very reluctant to try and contain the uprising, opting instead to guard factories and bridges. This has raised the question whether the riots really came as a surprise to the government. No comment. because we've already become communist. We are now 100% communist. That's not even a facade anymore. We are totally communist. So I think we're going to start working on the anti-colonialist crusade, at which point we will leave the Allies. And we can once again modify the government. So at this juncture, we can get the medium aircraft construction. And there we go. We have now everything except for ships. We will eventually need ships, but I don't want to invest in them while we allow everyone else to kill each other, basically. The only reason we really need ships is to cross from North Africa into Europe and do some kind of amphibious shenanigans down there. That's the Hawker Hurricane. So we've got all the aircraft we don't actually need. We need these two, but there's no bonuses to getting those. Let's lock you in while we have the Commonwealth bonus. Because it's not going to last very long. Only a couple more days. Czechoslovakia still hasn't been split. Right, the nationalists are being squeezed from behind. Or are they? I think they are still pushing out this way. It's just not being very clever. We're at 15,000 manpower. We are still... Okay, we've started producing the support equipment. Let's dedicate 2 factories to that. You will be at lower efficiency. Reign of Terror has run out. And we've got field hospitals. Excellent. That is definitely one of the things that we want in our divisions. So we can have 5 support companies, I think. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and one of these. Probably logistics. Hang on, what's logistics? It's logistics that reduces supply usage. Yeah, it's logistics companies that we'll want. Because we won't have the industrial capacity to supply vast armies. We need to be very much more small and select in precisely how we go about things. Which is why I'd also quite like to give our infantry divisions at least motorized. It would need to be motorized and then like mobile SPGs. How quick are motorized? Okay, we've got Matilda. Out of interest, how quick are motorized? Max speed 12 kilometers. How fast is a light tank? Doesn't say there, but I think it will say in here. Nope, it's not actually going to tell me the stats. Fantastic. Light tanks are also 12. So, yes, we want to start getting some motorized divisions. And the SPG I'm going to assume is 12 as well. The reason I was asking that is because we would basically need to decide between medium tanks with their movement of 8 or lights with their movement of 14 as it would be there, but 12 is really all we need, as that is the speed of motorized. So I think we may research the Priest, which is the self-propelled artillery tank variant, and then we could have Priests plus mobile infantry as our main combat units. The fate of Czechoslovakia. German troops have crossed into Bohemia and Moravia, ostensibly to restore order to the regions in the wake of the collapsing Czechoslovakian government. In Prague, the occupying forces announced the creation of an autonomous protectorate within the German Reich. With German support, Slovakia has been declared independent under the leadership of Joseph Tiso. The nation of Czechoslovakia is no more. And with that, Germany stands poised to go after Poland. Has Poland been guaranteed? Probably. No. Now it has. So yeah, this is when we go to Britain going, sorry old chaps, we're off. Bye. Zog submits to Italy. An ultimatum has been delivered to the Albanian government by Italian diplomats demanding that they submit to complete military occupation. King Zog has abdicated after realizing the futility of resistance, and Albania will be ruled in a personal union under King Victor Emmanuel III. Italy looks to the Balkans. Meanwhile, what's South Africa doing? We are still building our factories and things. We're getting one supply thingy, one support equipment a week. We definitely do need to import stuff. It uses up one of our valuable construction factories though. We're well on the way to... In fact, we should probably save up and try and get war economy soon, seeing as we can actually get it now that we're communist. That would quite dramatically increase our build-up, actually, and that is something we should have done a long time ago. Okay, we have got the anti-colonialist crusade. Colonialism sits at the heart of the imperialist system that oppresses the workers of the world. We are in a unique position to smash that system and free the African people from the centuries of exploitation they've had to endure. So now we can get the Union of African People, where we can start creating African unions. Then we can go after the liberate Portuguese colonies. We now have also got access to the continuous focuses. These provide lasting benefits, basically, instead of going after these focuses, and can turn them on and off, I believe, at will. So if we go for naval production, then production cost of carriers, capital ships, screens, submarines and trade convoys is reduced. Air production, 20% reduced cost on all air stuff. Construction, everything except for factories reduced by 20%. No, 10 or 20%. Army training, division training time minus 25%. Resistance growth minus 20, well minus 2. Construction repair, factory repair speed plus 50. Free repair plus 100. Tech sharing and suppressing subjects. I think we are going to get the Union of African People though. Although I am tempted to get this for the extra 1% recruitable population, but I think we want to go after Portugal as soon as possible, so we can start actually making our own moves. I just finished building another thing. Right, yes, we were going to get aluminium. We'll buy in one bloody aluminium. From whom? That is a good question. Brazil? No. France? No. USA? We could buy it from the US. Sure, why not? Buy it from the US. Who are we buying the tungsten from? British Malaya, so that's not going to last. So let's cancel you and buy it from... No, just one. One! There, from you. Marvellous. The fall of Nanjing, the capital of the Republic of China, Nanjing has been occupied by forces from the Empire of Japan. Despite fierce resistance from the walled city defenders, Japanese troops managed to capture Zongstan Gate and fought their way into the city. Sporadic gunfire can still be heard and several fires are raging in different parts of the city, but most surviving Chinese forces have either withdrawn or been captured, along with the capture of Shanghai. This is a significant victory for Japan in their war against China. It's been fairly slow though. I have seen games where Japan just eats China up, but we purposely increased China's difficulty slider thing so that they were a little bit more impressive in how they did things. You guys enjoying your holiday? I think I might actually just tell you to leave. I can't do it apparently. I do. Oh, it's not an expeditionary force, it's a volunteer force, which I apparently can't just withdraw. Oh well. And with that, I think we are going to have to end this episode. I'm very much expecting wars to break out in the next one, so I do hope you will join me for that. If you are enjoying this series, then please do hit that like button. If you have not done so already, then please do consider subscribing. It really does tremendously help out. If you have any tips or advice for me, let me know in the comments. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Goodbye.